Hello, everybody. It is I, Dr. CashMoney, back with just another absolutely amazing Cash Money video for all my little cash buddies out there that are watching. Continuing on is this champion good series? Today we ask if Dark Athel is good, and I have to say yes, she is. Dark Athel is a good champion. She's worth investing in. You have your answer, but if you keep watching, I'll dig a little bit deeper. What makes her good as a champion? She is overall above average. Um, Probably just off of her abilities alone, she gets put into the B rank category for epics, I would think. Well, let's dig a little bit deeper. Look at her A1. Uh, Somehow, when Athel died, she lost one of her hits. So she only attacks one enemy two times, not three times, as compared to her normal, not undead self. This ability has a 40% chance of placing a 60% decreased defense debuff for two turns. That's pretty solid. And the chance gets racked up to 10% when fully skilled out, plus 10% for a total of 50%. Misspoke a little bit there. So 50% chance per use of this ability, and she gets to do it every turn. That's pretty good. It's pretty strong. Usually means within two attacks that she should be able to put death down on an enemy, and 60% is the big decreased defense. So this is a solid skill. Blades of Blood. Attacks all enemies, 50% chance of placing 30% decreased speed, and this gets up to 75% when this skill is at least level 5. It's got a 5-turn cooldown, gets reduced to 4 turns. This is an okay skill. This is really going to shine against mobs in dungeons, or just the little feeder guys that go up until like the big boss battle. Unless it's like against Spider, then she'll constantly be able to slow those little buggers down just a little bit. Even the big guy too, because you can slow down big Spider. So that's good. This will also be pretty decent in probably mid-game arena. I don't really see any Dark Athels up in gold, because it kind of just falls off. But I would say, like, getting through silver, mid game, early game, Dark Athel is pretty solid for that. What else we got? This thing will click over. There we go. Harvest Despair level 1. Attacks all enemies. 30% increased speed buff on this champion for 3 turns if this attack kills 4 or more enemies. Heals this champion by 50% of their max HP. If it gets 6 or more, grants an extra turn as attack kills 10 or more enemies. So this is a mid-spider champion written all over it ability. Boost up her damage as much as possible. Let her try to blow away the many spiders as she can to try to get extra turn. Without that, it really isn't that great of a skill. Like, it does require her to actually kill quite a few enemies. Like, if this attack kills 4 or more enemies, like, there's not many fields that have, more than 4 enemies as far as the game's concerned. We might fight 5 in dungeon battles, 5-man team. So it's like, oh, if you killed like 80% of the enemy, then yeah, you get an increased speed buff on her. So the skill kind of really limits it to where it applies to. And the one that it really just screams at is like, it's like, I'm good if you're using me to kill spiderlings. So this is a the Spider's Boss Champ written all over it skill right here. That all being said, her stats look pretty okay overall. Nothing really stands out too crazy. Her speed's pretty decent. 100 speeds, a little bit above average. Def's a little bit low. Attack's pretty good for an attack type. So is her HP. One thing I do notice: 4, 6, 8, 9, 13 books. Bit of a book queen to fully max out skills. That's not always a bad thing if you get good returns out of it, though. Yeah, I'm going to stick with my assessment that this is a pretty B tier champion that'd be good for mid game. Definitely going to fall off by late game. Could be useful in faction wars as well, considering she's useful early and mid. She might, if you actually use her, if you develop her, she might help you in faction wars as well, since you'll already have her kitted out. She's also one of the champions you get from login rewards, so there is that as well. A lot to consider. Pretty fair for a login reward champion, I would think, overall. So Dr. CashMoney says this is a good champion. Duplicate Dark Athel's late game if you have just a whole lot of champions or resources of her, might be food. But at least initially, early on to mid game, she's a good champion to have. And if you use her early on and develop her, there's no reason to use her as food later on down the road. So I'd say she's worth it. I think I've got like 2 Dark Athels in my own vault that I haven't really messed with too much. I had better options myself by the time that I got her as a login reward. But I could see her being worth the investment mid-game. Anyways, that's all for this Cash Money video. I'll catch y'all in the next one. Thanks for tuning in once again.